Transport 2056, what is it? So you would have heard Tony Braxton-Smith speak this morning around a new vision that Transport for New South Wales have with respect to planning. We're pretty proud of what we're doing in this project. For the first time, we are not going to be planning a project and planning a strategy for New South Wales and producing a static 250-page document. We are going to be producing a strategy and a plan which is interactive and will be online for real-time feedback from our customers. On the left, we have our 2012 Transport Master Plan, which quite uniquely, our current Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, was the Transport Minister for at the time. What we're doing now, from a government perspective, is that we are looking to the future, and instead of looking to a 3 or a 5 or a 10-year time frame, we are looking at a 40-year horizon. It's really ambitious, I know, but we have some really good people working on this, and for the first time, we are integrating transport planning with land use planning. Now, I know that might seem quite logical, and like something the government should have been doing previously, but for the first time we are getting our transport planners to think about what a place that people would like to live in looks like. It's probably a very good segue from Scott earlier about productivity and where people live. Premier and Cabinet, Treasury, Planning and Environment, Industry, Destination New South Wales. These government departments all have a vital role to play in what the shape of our city is going to look like in the future. Transport for New South Wales, in close collaboration with Infrastructure New South Wales and the Greater Sydney Commission, are all working together to share the immense amount of data that we have as a government. We spoke about this earlier. The government have a plethora of data. Often we don't know what to do with it. Often we don't know if we're collecting the correct data. But what we're doing now is sharing that data across multidisciplinary teams to come up with a long-term solution. I appreciate that this presentation is very New South Wales centric, but really it's a culmination of work that's been going on for some time, and I'll speak to our cross-border integration a little bit later. But we're starting with a 2056 vision. Clearly, a 40-year vision means that the further you plan out, the less certainty we're going to have with respect to what our transport system looks like, what our land use looks like, and what our customer needs are going to be. We're starting with a strategy which is very much visionary and projecting forward, and we're supporting that with infrastructure and service plans which respond to that strategy. The supporting plans will include things like the Freight and Ports Plan, Maritime Plan, Disability Access, and other supporting plans which previously, I guess, have been done in an ad hoc fashion. What we're really trying to do, and again, picking up on a point earlier around integration, is understanding how people want to live in the future and responding to those needs. I think it was Kay who said that once you put the customer at the centre of a strategy or the centre of an outcome, that outcome starts to change very rapidly. Wow, that slide's a bit of a mess. I'd like to say that that's art, and close your eyes if you will and let me talk to that slide. Meeting changing customer needs. Well, it's probably a good segue to say, in 40 years, we don't know what those customer needs are going to be because we can't predict what the transport system, or indeed, as I said, the land use system is going to look like. The fundamental difference that we are working on here at Future Transport, and I know Tony touched on this earlier, is that if we put the customer at the beginning of our needs and we stop looking at the predict and provide model, so looking back and planning forward, we plan forward and work back. So there must be some level of rigor and understanding of the data at hand. But what we really want to do is understand where people want to be in the future and look visionary and work towards that, as opposed to have our feet firmly planted in the past. So that goes to a point again, and the speakers today have been brilliant, so thank you for touching on a number of the points around what is the role of government. Now, I've been on this project for just over a year, having come from the private sector, and can I tell you that when I moved to the public sector, people were saying, oh really, do you want to go to the public sector? There's quite a bit of lag, there is lack of vision. For this project, I must say that that is just not the case. The role of government is changing. We are aware of that and we want to be a part of that. To the point earlier around Uber or Lyft, is our role as a government an enabler, a facilitator, a regulator? It could be a raft of those things or a combination thereof. I think the biggest difference is that we have to acknowledge and have acknowledged as a government that we are going to have a different role in the future. What that exactly looks like, we don't exactly know. But as Tony said this morning, we are absolutely and sincerely committed to working with the private sector. We must. Our Minister for Transport, Minister Andrew Constance, has a great saying that he says in a number of speeches around, he never ever wants to be Ubered again. Now, that's a great adage and it conjures up visuals, but having said that, what he's really saying is that we don't want to be in the position that we were. We want to work hand in glove with the private sector. And that moves us to working with the private sector and with other government departments and with our customers. We talked earlier around productivity and places for people to live. We understand that we can't do the things that we've always done them. We must be more agile, we must be more open, and we must understand what our customers need. And that means not just building great rail lines or great roads or great bike paths. That's about understanding what makes a great place. The word smart city gets bantied around and thrown around regularly, but we understand, and from our research, from our customers, is that a smart city is where someone wants to live. It's where someone has a place to live and calls that place home. This is a really good depiction of where we've come from and where we're going. It's about creating efficient pathways for goods and services to be moved, as well as people. This is a busy slide, I appreciate, but this gives you a really good indication of road allocation, for example, which is a really important topic in the transport sector and in the placemaking sector. There's a lot of information and research around what CAVs may or may not do, connected and automated vehicles may or may not do to our road space allocation or to our movement of goods or freight. What we're really trying to say is that at the moment, there is a vehicle-focused era. Maybe in the future, the evolution of that will be to a more personal movement era, where we're sharing road space, and then a quality of life era, and perhaps the future of mobility. What does that look like? Particularly in Sydney, and I had this discussion earlier with Kay around Wickett and her company, is that we don't always in Sydney use the best of active transport. And when I say active transport, I mean walking and cycling. Different countries and different cultures have different approaches to cycling and to walking. And it's something that we're certainly looking at Transport for New South Wales. There was also a fantastic point made earlier around we can't build our way out of these things. We need to be smarter with our current assets. Are we using our current assets efficiently and effectively? And are our assets going to be adapted and changed when technology changes? The answer has to be yes. We need to be responsive and reflecting the new technology as it changes. There are a number of school of thoughts around what CAVs will do and how that will affect our roads, and I think certainly having a chat to some people in the break, there are definitely very different schools of thought around the road space allocation. Okay, this is a really great slide which gets a lot of discussion. This is what you're looking at here is population density per kilometre squared. So if you have a look at the blue wheel here, that looks at car mode share against public transport or non-car share mode. So Melbourne, the most livable city, arguably, and for those who aren't from Melbourne or Sydney and couldn't care less, it's basically comparing apples and oranges, so it's probably a tired comparison. Melbourne v Sydney v other cities that we are comparable or have a smart city livable area to create and grow. Look at this next slide here. We need to start thinking when we're planning for a 40-year horizon, what kind of city do we want? Do we want to have more public transport? Do we want to have more cars? What is CAVs going to do? Do we want more active transport? If we're on our current trajectory, that's what it's going to look like. And again, planning for a 40-year horizon does have its difficulties because we don't know what technology is going to be like in 40 years, save to say we must be prepared for it. The phrase when people talk about future-proofing always miffs me. It's an oxymoron. You can't future-proof anything. You have to be future-ready. And that means that, yeah, we won't have all the answers, but we need to put things in place and build infrastructure that's able to be adapted for the future. Really good point earlier around Scott, around travel time and commuting. Part of the project that we've done with the Greater Sydney Commission, and for those who aren't familiar with the Greater Sydney Commission, it's a planning body that we've been working with, and they are an independent body that talk about and look into land use planning. We talk about Sydney. What we're really talking about is Eastern Sydney, where we are right now. We have 3 cities, and this is the concept that the Greater Sydney Commission and Transport for New South Wales have been working on for a couple of years now. We're in the Eastern City. The geographical centre of Sydney is actually Parramatta. Hands up if you've been to Parramatta. Excellent. If you're all entrepreneurs and you're all from, and we had this discussion this morning, Parramatta is definitely the place to be in terms of growth. So I'd encourage you all to go out and have a look at the transport out there. And then of course there's the Western Sydney, Badgerys Creek. It's really about making this idea that people can live and work within 30 minutes of home to work. Now that might be physical work, an office space, or it might be where we're working remotely. This is the concept that we have been working towards and have developed with the Greater Sydney Commission. Now, while I'm on future transport strategy, it is not just about Sydney or metropolitan Sydney. The future transport strategy and plans relate to the entire state, and there is a growing population in regional New South Wales. If we have a look at this diagram, this is a really powerful slide because it talks and looks to greater regional centres within New South Wales. There seems to be sometimes a misconception that people in the regions want to come to Sydney for work or pleasure or travel, and in fact our research has shown that that is not the case. People want easier access to their regional centres. So if you have a look at this hub and spoke model, this speaks to the fact that there needs to be better and more efficient connections between regional cities, not necessarily to Sydney. So what is Future Transport doing over the next few months? We are going to be launching our draft plan, so our draft strategy and our draft metro plan and our draft regional plan in the coming months. We are genuinely and sincerely interested in getting feedback on those plans. They set a vision, they set goals, and they have a look at what the future might look like for New South Wales in 2056, but also in the next few years and in the period in between. We're going to be launching that website. It's already actually up. There's a lot of data on the website, but we're going to be relaunching with those plans on the website. We absolutely would encourage you, please, to jump on and have your say about how you want to shape the city, how you want to shape the regions, what's important to you as a customer, and what's important to you in terms of access and accessibility, both for services, freight, goods, and of course, the people. We're also doing real-time online feedback, something that the government hasn't done before in this space. We're going to have the plans online, and you're going to be able to respond online, and in real time we're going to be able to capture what it is that you are liking about the plan, disliking, or have a particular comment about the plan or strategy. Of course, we will be doing the traditional government, we will be doing the traditional face-to-face engagements, and if you wish to write in a 20-page submission, by all means I encourage you to do so. But we're also looking to seek and go to a demographic that we've never gone to before, and that's the youth. So we really are going to be focusing our attention on the 18 to 35-year-olds. Again, it's a 40-year horizon, so in 40 years' time I hope not to be working. It will be our youth of today who will be really involved and be the subjects, if you will, of the overarching plan. Industry will certainly have time to provide feedback, and we'll be seeking detailed feedback from industry. In fact, our industry engagement, Nick, do you want to put your hand up? Nick's our industry engagement guy, and he deals with a raft of sectors in industry, and please feel free to contact him at any time. I encourage you, please jump on the website. It's a new way of doing things for government. We're really excited about it. We really are genuinely interested in getting your feedback from all the diverse range of the community, business, industry, and community. Thank you very much for your time.